Hello, everybody, and welcome to the wild card round predictions for this week of the NFL season. And yeah, we're here. It's playoff time. Last week I went 9-7 to cap off the regular season. Now let's get right into the playoffs. Before we dive right into it, I want to quickly say subscribe if you're new. Greatly appreciate it. Leave a like. Let's do it. Playoffs are here. Plan to go live for every single playoff game, including the Super Bowl. So yeah, kick things off. Saturday, 4:30 p.m. The Los Angeles Chargers make the trip over to the Houston Texans. This is an interesting matchup. The Houston Texans have been playing off the past few weeks, entering the playoffs a little bit slow. Did get a win against the Titans, but it wasn't necessarily a win to be proud of, as it is the Titans this season. Meanwhile, the Chargers are a different Chargers team than what we're used to. Very heavy, relying on the ground, and when they do pass, it is a lot more surgical of a passing game. I like what we see from the Chargers week in, week out, a lot more than what we see from the Houston Texans. And in this playoff time, teams are going to adapt differently, going to play up to a different standard. And when we've seen both of these teams play against teams at that higher level of play, the Chargers have more consistently been able to step up. So I do have the Chargers winning this game. Next up, the final wildcard game on Saturday is the Pittsburgh Steelers making a trip to the Baltimore Ravens. This is at 8 p.m. on Saturday, and this is going to be a good old-fashioned divisional game. These teams split the series this year, and really it was an interesting way to split the series. Pittsburgh won the first one in a really ugly game. Baltimore won the second one in dominant fashion. Second one being in Baltimore. And that's the key thing with this one. It is in Baltimore. And for as much as I feel like the Steelers defense could give Baltimore fits, it's the case where the last few weeks we just have not seen that from Pittsburgh's defense, nor have we seen a Pittsburgh offense that can give opposing defenses fits. Meanwhile, the Ravens have been shown to be able to do that this season against really good teams. It's still the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is probably going to win MVP, although the race between him and Josh Allen is going to be interesting to see NFL Honors time. So I'm going to pick the Ravens to win this one in advance. The first game on Sunday at 1 o'clock is between the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills. Broncos snuck in final week of the season thanks to playing the KC backups and absolutely demolishing them. Meanwhile, Buffalo is Buffalo. They're one of the best teams in the league this year. Josh Allen is playing an MVP level like he always is. And even despite a lot of people thinking this was going to be a down year for the Bills, they were looking like one of the better. They're looking like the best version of Buffalo has ever seen. It's an interesting one. The defense definitely leaves me some questions when it comes to Buffalo, but at the same time, they're going against a young team in the Denver Broncos, a team who has over exceeded expectations by making the playoffs for the first time since 2015. So it's going to be interesting. Buffalo has been here before. They've been in this spot. There's just it's Buffalo. They've been here. They know how to handle this. They know how to think. They know how to play. Denver, first time here in a long time. First time here with this group that they have. I think it's going to be a solid game, but I do have Buffalo win and advance it. The second game on Sunday, the 4:30 game, is the Green Bay Packers traveling to the Philadelphia Eagles, a rematch from the Week 1 game in Sao Paulo. And this is going to be a very different game than that Week 1 game. Both teams have definitely found their identities this season, with Philly becoming more of a ground and pound style team, relying heavily on Saquon Barkley and throwing when needing to. And again, trying to take the pressure off of Jalen Hurts. Meanwhile, the Packers, since that game, have figured out their style, really lean into what Matt LaFleur does best, and that is just get people involved and be more than just a one-man show. The issue is one of those main people, Christian Watson, is going to miss this game, but they still have a bunch of other weapons. Jordan Love is expected to play and be completely fine even after getting injured in the game against Chicago. So nonetheless, it's going to be a great game, probably the best game of this first round. I do have the Philadelphia Eagles winning though, just because it's in Philly. For as much as I like Green Bay, I feel like missing Christian Watson is going to hurt this offense a little bit too much, all things considered. And plus, I don't fully know how 100% Jordan Love is going to be, so I do have the Philadelphia Eagles advancing. The final game on Sunday, the Washington Commanders make the trip to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another rematch game of a matchup earlier this season. And this is going to be a pretty intriguing game. The Buccaneers offense has not performed how I expected them to perform this season, and part of it is the loss of Chris Godwin, who, as of my knowledge right now, is not expected to be back for this game, and thus may not be back for these playoffs at all. Jaden Daniels and the Washington offense is definitely an interesting offense as well. Cliff Kingsbury, the OC, but they're an inconsistent offense. Yes, they've won 12 games this year, and yes, they're playing well. But when they've had to play against higher end opponents, they have struggled a bit, primarily against Philly, even though they did beat Philly. But that was a game where Jalen Hurts only played the first two drives. Washington is one of those teams where, similar to Denver, they're a young team. They're here way before they're supposed to be. So they don't fully know what it takes to then move on and to win a playoff game. Meanwhile, Tampa was here last year in a very similar situation against Philly. Now it's against Washington. And because of that, home playoff game, yes, they're not the greatest at home, but it's still, they've been here before. They know what it takes. And I feel like they're going to be able to get it done against a relatively inexperienced Washington team. So I do have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning. The final wildcard game on Monday night, the Minnesota Vikings make the trip to the Los Angeles Rams. Another rematch game for these wildcard round. And it's going to be a game. Rams beat them the first time these two teams played. But I still feel like that game wasn't the best judge of character for both of these teams. The Vikings have evolved since that game. The Rams have found their way since then. The Vikings are having one of the best seasons in franchise history, if not the best season. Pretty sure it's the second best. Meanwhile, the Rams are just skating by. They barely won the division on a fifth tiebreaker in the second to last week of the season. For as good as I like the Rams and for as good as they've been playing, they're just not playing up to that Rams style and that Rams standard that Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay has implemented. Meanwhile, the Vikings are relying a little bit on this magical run that it feels like Sam Darnold is going off of. So the question is, can he continue it? I'm not fully sure. But even if he can't, this defense 100% can. I really like what we're seeing from the Minnesota defense. There's a really, really well playing unit led by Brian Flores, who I have my own opinions about, but he has these guys playing incredibly, incredibly well. So I do expect Minnesota to walk into Los Angeles and get the win. Well, there you have it. My predictions for the wildcard round. Only 6 games because that's the playoffs, baby. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Again, I'm going to be live for every single playoff game. So see you all then. Peace.